Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here for today's Assistive Technology Open Mic presentation. Today's interactive conversation is a joint effort between the Rutgers University Community Living Education Project, also known as CLEP, and the Richard West Assistive Technology Advocacy Center at Disability Rights, New Jersey, also known as the RNJ. My name is Melanie McGacken, and I'm representing the Community Living Education Project team. Rutgers CLEP supports self-advocates, their families, and professionals who assist people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. The CLEP team provides education, training, and resources about the many possibilities in community living within the state of New Jersey. We recognize that everyone's situation is unique, and we take a person-centered approach to providing you the assistance that you need and how you need it. The CLEP team contacts are shared on your screen, and we can also share it again at the end of the presentation if needed. So give us a call whenever the time is right for you. Before we begin today's presentation, I want to go over how you can participate effectively during this virtual event. To maintain the highest sound quality, all attendees are initially going to be muted during today's presentation. This session is a fantastic opportunity for us to learn from each other, so we encourage you to ask your questions, share your thoughts, and engage in today's conversation. It's what we're all here for. You can do this by using the Q&A, which is in the toolbar on your Zoom control panel, or the chat feature. We would also love for you to ask your question live. So just send us a quick note in the chat section or Q&A section, and we will be happy to unmute you during your turn. I'm excited to hand the virtual mic over to today's presenters, Mike Murata and Naomi Leibowitz. Mike, Naomi, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here again. As always, we're excited to chat with the group. Some might say, Naomi and I might even say, this is like the best kind of presentation because it's really just about a conversation. It's about the things you want to all speak about. So I think that's kind of fun. We do have some slides. They have some information in them. I mean, mostly we're going to be a participant-led conversation today, but we do have some things that we would like to share about things we do that perhaps can help you at some point. There is a link on the screen, and Naomi put it in the chat as well. That will get you to the slides. It does have links to get out to some of the resources that we have at our center of the things we do. There's our contact information if you need us. That is where we can be found. As Melanie said, we are from Disability Rights, New Jersey. We are New Jersey's Assistive Technology Act project. And so we are tasked with the idea of making sure that people in our state understand what assistive technology is, how it can help them, and where to get it. Great. I've just boiled us down to that little snippet there. That's what we do. We don't sell equipment. We don't evaluate people for equipment, but instead we help individuals match their needs to possible tools that are out there in the community. So hopefully we'll have some answers for you today. If we don't know, we're very good at saying, I don't know, but we'll find out. And maybe as we're going and we're talking, one of us can pull up another computer off to the side and actually start doing some research as we're talking. So, if anything else, like Melanie said, throw your options, your questions out there. This is a great opportunity to chat with each other. And who knows, maybe someone else in the group has the answer to your question that you're about to ask. So I really like this idea of sharing across the group. If you would like to learn more about assistive tech, well, we have some things for you. We have a couple things coming up in December. We run a series of webinars called the Tech Spotlight, short, kind of 30-minute-ish webinars where they're very focused on a certain technology tool. A lot of times those are led by the manufacturers themselves or the distributors of those tools, so they can really dive into what those tools are like, what their features are, and how they might work for you. And so we have two coming up in December. We have Access Navigator on December 3rd, and then on the 17th, we have SafeWave. I don't even know what SafeWave is, so I'm excited to know that. I honestly, Naomi, I literally have no idea what that is, and that's exciting. Naomi sets those up, and so this is like a mystery to me too. I just saw that for the first time like the rest of you did, so I don't know what that is, and I'm excited. Maybe Naomi, what is that? I can't even go forward. Do you know?
Is like a watch that vibrates and it connects you to like the outside world. It's mostly for deaf and hard of hearing people, so
Okay.
they connected. I really don't know much about it besides from they reached out and I was like, okay, it sounds interesting. And I asked them to do a tech spotlight to learn more, and they agreed.
Awesome. And I love it. You knew just enough to give us an interesting little like, oh, okay, that sounds kind of cool. All right, I'm excited for that when that comes up. Thank you. That's cool. Um, one other thing that we have before we kind of jump into just our general conversation here is, we were just talking before you all came in, we were talking with Melanie about this idea that, when we put together some webinars and things we want to share with people, it's tricky at times because Naomi and I, a lot of times, just taking a guess at the things people might be interested in learning about. Sometimes that guess works, sometimes it doesn't quite hit the mark, and people are left like, oh, I wish we learned more about something. And they have this idea of a topic they're interested in. Well, we have something for you. We have partnered with an organization called ATIA, that is the Assistive Technology Industry Association. They have what they call their learning center. It's online. It's a catalog of recorded webinars related to assistive technology. And those webinars can be viewed kind of on like an a la carte basis. You pay for them as you go. Like, oh, I'm interested in this. And it's, I don't know, $40 or $50 to watch this hour-long webinar. Well, what we've done at our center is we've purchased a statewide subscription for that. So anybody in New Jersey, whether you live or work in New Jersey, individual with a disability, family member, professional, interested community member, it doesn't matter. If you want to learn about that, you can sign up to get the code. And so the form is online. The link is in the slide here, or you could scan that with your phone. And it will take you to the form. We're basically just asking your information just to confirm that you live in New Jersey or work in New Jersey. And once you fill that out, it will give you a code that you can then go back to the Learning Center, add any webinar you'd like into your cart, and add that code in, and it will come down to 0. So it's an opportunity for you to do some free learning about assistive technology. So pretty great. So definitely check that out. Share that with anybody who you think might be interested. It's an opportunity for you to kind of guide your learning journey instead of going with the stuff we think you want to hear. You could do it yourself. So there you go. I think that is all I had, Melanie. I'm ready. All right. It's about you. Here I go. I'm going to unshare my screen and we're just going to stare at each other. Here it comes. All right. I am going to.
I see that Peg actually has a question. She's saying that she would like to be unmuted. So Peg, I'm going to actually, a prompt is going to come across your screen. So please feel free to unmute and answer your question.
Thank you so much for taking this question. I appreciate it. I was so impressed by a webinar that I attended that you presented at, and you went through a number of technologies that could possibly be available to the special needs community. And my question is the following: could I please have a contact number? Because I have a lot of questions about the process, how I get the material, how it works, that kind of stuff. And I don't want to take all of this time, but I do need a contact number in order for me to touch base with either yourself or somebody in your organization.
Perfect. Well, Peg, let's dissect that a little bit, because I think that's a great question. What is it you're looking to do? Are you looking to borrow something from our lending center?
Yes, I am. I'm very interested in the virtual schedule planner that you had presented. That is something but I'd like to, see it. I'd like to understand how it works. I would like to understand, if I rent it, do I buy it? Is it a library? I don't know the particulars. Do I go through my support coordinator? I'm not so sure.
These are all great questions, and I'm glad, and I think it's worthwhile to have this conversation. So I'm glad that you asked it. Naomi put in the chat where our lending center lives. So our lending center lives at Advancing Opportunities. So there's a couple ways you can get there. You could email them. You
Mhm.
could call them, and Naomi put those in the chat, or you can go right to their website, which is assistive technology center.org, and then you search for the lending center, and you can see all of the things that they would have to borrow, including that. And so what they would do, Peg, because that is an app, how they would probably approach this, and I don't want to speak for them, but I'm going to take an educated guess as how they're going to do this. They would put that app on an iPad and loan you the iPad.
Okay.
So you
Okay.
would actually try it on the device they sent you. And there is no cost for that. So that would be free. They would ship it out to you. You would get to try it for 3 weeks, and then you would simply ship it back to them at the end.
Okay, and if I were interested in continuing with this particular iPad or something, would I have the option of purchasing it going forward?
That's a great question. No, that's not how the lending center works, but that is a
Okay.
great question. What we can do though, and the people at the lending center can help you with this, we could help you with this also, is once you got to the end of that loan, I mean, obviously our first comment or question to you, Peg, would be, how'd it go? Did it
Mhm.
work? Is this the right tool for you? Do you feel like this is going to be the support that this individual needs? And then we would share ideas with you of how you could get that. Because are
Okay.
you looking to find a way to purchase an iPad, or does the person already own an iPad?
They already own one.
Great. So really all they would need to do then is purchase the app itself,
I got it. Okay.
which I think, don't hold me to this, Peg. I'm not going to kick in the difference if I get the price wrong, but I want to say it's like $15.
Okay.
I think is what the app is. And so that person would purchase that through the app store, just like you would any other app. Now, of course, I heard you say support coordinator. I'm curious, and I don't know this, so I'm interested. I don't know what the process is. And Melly, maybe you know. How does that work with the support coordinator when the person wants to buy something like this through an app store? What do they do? Like, what's the process?
Yeah, so that's actually a great question. We do have some of our CLEP team members on the line who may have more specific details, but that's going to be a consideration, I believe, on a case-by-case basis in regards to what that assistive technology is being used for, and if there's going to have to be an assessment or go out for bids in regards to pricing. So I think it's going to be a case-by-case basis that someone's going to have to reach out to their support coordinator about. And if anyone on the CLEP team has any more details to provide to Peg, please feel free to raise your hand or send me a message and I'll unmute you so you can provide additional guidance. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I love
Peg,
that idea. It's
yeah, your
interesting.
support coordinator would have details.
Yeah, because that whole idea, and I think it's interesting because if Peg goes through with the loan, determines that it's going to work, feels pretty confident that it's going to work, and is able to express that back to the support coordinator, like, here's how I used it with the individual, here's how the individual used it, here's the success they had, we're ready to go forward. It's interesting because it's really, like, how do you, and this is just my own, I just don't know, how do then you go forward and say, well, it can't go out to bid, it's just a purchase from the app store?
Yeah,
Like,
that would be more for like a home or vehicle.
yeah, like
going out.
equipment-y kind of purchase, right?
But
Yeah.
this you could make a request. Again, your support coordinator should be very fluent in that process.
Yeah, I love it. And these are just questions for myself because I don't do that part very often. And so it's really interesting. Peg, did that help?
Yes, it did. Thank you so much. I didn't want to take too much of your presentation up, but I appreciate your
No, of
giving me
course. This is why we're here, Peg. This is the whole point. Peg, if you don't ask your question, what are we going to do? We're just going to sit here. No, this is great. I love it. This is the beauty of it. When Naomi and I say we don't have anything else planned, but that's okay. That we wanted to have time to chat with everybody.
I appreciate
it.
Eve, I see your chat and it says I have a couple simple questions, and you should not be embarrassed about not knowing tech. It's okay. Eve, if you want to turn your mic on and chat, that's great. If you want to do it in the chat and type it, that's fine too.
Eve, I'm going to actually send a message to allow you to unmute. So if you choose to do that, please accept. If not, feel free to use the chat section. And then, Mike, I think while we're waiting for Eve to respond, I think it's really beneficial, right, to see how the London Library, right, really allows people to try these sometimes very high-tech, very expensive pieces of equipment prior to committing to buy something that's just not going to be the right fit for them. So
exactly. And it's interesting, regardless almost of the cost of it. You know, if we think about what Peg's talking about, it's a $15 item.
Sure.
Still, a $15 purchase is still $15. And if it doesn't work, I mean, it's like, all right, I wasted $15. And it is that opportunity. And that's what I love about the Lending Center, is that these things can get to everyone for zero cost. We'll ship it to you, and we'll give you the thing to ship it back. So it's a zero cost for you, which I love.
see that
Eve,
Eve is
hello.
joining us.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thank you.
Hi.
So these questions that revolve my brother, and he often receives mostly text messages from his different providers, that a lot of them are streams of consciousness by the provider, and a lot of acronyms and run-ons, et cetera. And he has a lot of difficulty understanding what they're saying. So I thought that maybe the first thing would be if the phone, his iPhone, like read it aloud to him. And I think there's a feature, but I'm not sure. And then the other part of the equation is when he does respond to messages or wants to send a message, because his diction isn't always the best, Siri does not, or he calls her stupid Siri, does not, transcribe what he's trying to say. And of course, he doesn't even know it because he doesn't really understand. He's not the best reader. So I would appreciate any suggestions on how to clarify his messages and help him understand what his staff are trying to say to him.
Eve, these are great questions. And the fact that you felt embarrassed about that, you shouldn't, because these were great questions. Naomi, you game. You want to answer? You want me to answer? What do you want to do? This is me trying to make sure I don't completely derail and take every answer.
Yeah, go for it.
You can say go for it. Oh, and then you totally give me the okay to do it. All right. Eve, a couple things right off. Is there a way for his phone to read that? Yes, there is. And so that in itself might provide him some level of support. I'm going to put a little asterisk next to that for just 1 second, and I'll come back to it. But if you were to go into it, it's an iPhone, because you said he has Siri, so it's an iPhone. If you go into your settings and then accessibility, a second, you know what I'm going to do? Hold on. I'm going to do something super fancy, Eve. Do you want to see something that's just way too fancy?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Me too. Hold on.
Impressed.
Yeah, prepare yourself. Let's see if it works, or if the whole thing just crashes and burns. Let's see. I am going to work to hook my iPad to our conversation right now from over here. I don't know if it's going to work, but let's see.
Eve, this is why we keep inviting Mike and Naomi back. Come
on, let's look at this. Look, it's going to work. There it is. There's my iPad. Okay. So, Eve, what you would do is you would go into settings. So you see it on the bottom left corner there. I'm going to open settings. And the iPhone will work the same way as the iPad. It won't be much different, if any. Accessibility on the left-hand side. I'm going to scroll down to spoken content, which is in that first chunk of features there, where it's always interesting to me. This is like a little, if I could get on a soapbox for a second. Apple puts this under vision as a support, but spoken content is so much more than that. And that's always frustrating to me, because I don't know, Eve, think about if you had gone into this and you were like poking around, you might not have looked here, because this wasn't a vision issue for you. It was an audio support issue.
Right.
And so it's interesting. So that's just my little aside about how they put these things on there. I don't really like. So we're going to search for spoken content.
I see it on the right. Yep. Okay.
And then you have two choices there. You have speak selection and speak screen. I would go ahead and turn both of those on right now. Just turn them. Because once they're turned on, your brother can go to any text on his screen. Of course, I'm on my iPad, so there is no messages, but hold on, I'll just find some text somewhere. Okay, there you go. Do you want to learn about Rush? Okay, great. Excellent. So anyway, you're in my iPad. This is what you're going to get. Any text he sees. So imagine members of his team text him something. He could simply hold down his finger on the words and then spread the bubbles out to select everything. And now in that menu, Eve, he's going to see that option for speak.
Okay, I see it. Okay.
For me, doing
then it's just gonna
solos,
read.
for example, the first 3 or 4 takes of whatever I'm doing.
And now he could read that out loud. So
Right.
he'd get the support. My one asterisk I'll put next to this, and what I said before, is that if his team members are using a lot of lingo,
hmm
I don't know how that's going to read.
No, I understand. And just because I know for my brother, he can read words, but he doesn't really comprehend what's being said. So that's a whole different thing that I don't think an app can help him with. But we just had his ISP a couple of months ago, and I asked them to please stop using acronyms because he doesn't get it. He calls me up and says, what is this? And he just misses most of the message.
Yeah.
But
and so that could be really frustrating. And I think that's a really good, Eve, a non-technology solution here. Is just reminding people that lingo doesn't help. It's not helping facilitate the conversation.
Right. Okay. Well, that's a great thing. And then do you have any suggestions on how when Siri does not understand what he's trying to say?
Yeah, that's a little trickier because he was right in his answer, and my iPad's gonna come on, but Siri is a little stupid sometimes. It just is. And there's really not many ways to change that. If you go back into settings, I was going to do pronunciations, but that's really not how you're saying things. That's how it's reading things back to you.
Would that actually stop when you just demonstrated a few minutes ago about the reading capability? It was kind of a stayed voice. Is there one that might be like more natural? Do you have choices there?
You do have choices. Yeah. If you see like even under Siri or even in the spoken content, if I go back to that, I'll go back to spoken content. There is something called voices about 3/4 of the way down.
Okay, I see that.
And there are options. I have English, I have Samantha. There's a bunch of other ones you can choose.
Okay.
So he could go through and pick one that he might, as you can see, he might need to download it. It might not live already on his device. So he'll need to be connected to some service to download it. But yeah, he could go through and pick one that works for him.
Great.
The trick with any of these speech to text items where we're talking to the device and it's writing for us, it's interesting as advanced as our tech has gotten, we've actually taken a small step backwards in speech recognition because we don't train these devices anymore to recognize our voices. And so the issue he's having is that it doesn't understand the way he says things.
Right.
That's not his fault. That's the computer's fault. But yet we don't get a chance to really change that. What might help him is once he dictates into a text message, he could go back through and have it read back aloud to him to edit it. Now that he's got the speech feature going to read the text, he could hear if what he said actually was written.
Right, that's a good suggestion, but then he could still go back. I don't know if you can edit like 1 or 2 words, or if he could pronounce the word more clearly so she understands. So we'll have to, I guess, play with that. I don't know.
Yeah, and that might be part of that situation, is that as he starts to see the success he's having, maybe as he starts to use that, he becomes more aware of, oh, I know it always gets tripped up over this certain word. Let me make sure I pause before it. I say it as clear as possible to hope that I get it right. You know, because it is all about enunciation with this, right? It's about these devices, they want consistency. They want to hear it the same way every time. And they have this kind of, all of these built-in speech features now for talking to your devices have this kind of mythical, perfect Midwestern voice. That's what they kind of train these systems on. And for any of us who don't have that voice, I mean, me included, you know, we get these troubles with it at a time where it just doesn't get us.
Right.
But the listening might help because it might have him start to recognize words that he might need to try to enunciate better. Or I've also been known at times when I'm using something like that to not use certain words if I know it's not going to get it. You know, and it's not a great answer, but it's an answer.
No, it's a good suggestion. You know, we are dealing with a neurodivergent person, but we'll see. They're great
Yeah.
suggestions.
Yeah.
I appreciate your help. Thank you.
The other thing too, Eve, don't forget the idea that instead of dictating text into a message, he
Mhm.
could leave audio. Like just
like
make an
record it?
audio note.
Oh,
You know, and I think about when I'm in my texting and I go back to text and I hit to add a message, one of my options, oh, now I got to think about how I can show you that.
you can do that with a text. I'm going to open a text message right now.
Open a text message, and then instead of hitting the microphone to dictate into it, hit the plus sign on the left, and audio is one of your options.
Okay.
He can simply speak into the message.
Got it.
And it's
That's
actually his voice.
That's right. That's excellent.
Which the person he's communicating with on his team should be able to understand what he's saying better than a computer will.
Well, that's an excellent idea. Thank you. See, we brainstormed this together. I love it.
Brainstormed it. I love it. Look at that. It worked. That's great. I got to do something techie with my iPad. We figured out a solution. I love it. This is awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I'm glad that you did.
Thanks for your help. I appreciate it.
Of course. Of course.
Mike, and Eve, if you're still on with us, I know one of the things that you mentioned, and again, right, I'm not, Mike and Naomi are absolutely the experts in this area. But again, if anyone has a suggestion for Eve or Peg, type it in the chat, right? Share along with us. But one of the things that you mentioned was that you asked either a provider or a support person not to use acronyms, you know, jargon lingo in those texts because it's not easily understood by your brother. And this might not be a solution for him, but Mike, Naomi, is there a way for, as soon as that number texts him, or if any text that comes in, is there a way for her brother maybe to put a short message? You know, thanks for your message. I'll reply shortly. P.S. If you used any acronyms in your message, can you please, you know, resend using easy to understand language? Is that something that's possible?
I love that. I have no idea. Hold on, I'm looking at my phone.
You mean to custom
Almost like an auto reply.
It's an auto reply in a way, right? Like say here, this number, I'm going to auto reply to this.
And anytime that number is messaging him, they're going to get that very short message saying, if you used any lingo or acronyms in the message you just sent me, please, you know, resend, spelling out in clear, plain language, what you were trying to relay, right? It just might be helpful, and then he can reply, right? As soon as they send it, they're going to get that reply, and they're like, oh, I forgot. I wasn't supposed to be using acronyms.
Response. And maybe we can also ask them not to send text messages that are 4 inches deep. You know,
Well, yeah, I mean, that's, you know, all of those things are really important to think about. I don't see anything in my phone that says that, but boy, what a great idea that is.
Yeah, so that's something maybe we can look into further, Eve, if you even think that that would be helpful.
I think it's a great suggestion, Melanie. I really do. I will see. I guess we'll have to do some Googling. I don't know.
Yeah, I love that idea. And going along, Eve, with what you just said, if some of these texts become really long and kind of unmanageable in a way, Because think about it, you like you said, you're looking at something that's only an inch wide and it's so long and it just keeps going. Is email a better way and set your brother up with an email account that they can email him? He can still use the screen to read it.
Well, he does. It's really, I mean, this is not your problem. It doesn't fit into this topic today, but I think their expectations are a little unrealistic of what he can and can't do, you know? So like I said, I asked for the no acronyms, but
Yeah.
let's face it, who reads the ISP besides the family and the support coordinator? No.
Yeah, I do like your idea of just continuing to just remind them. And I think that's Melanie's move, which is awesome. It's every time
That's
you
right.
get
It's an
this reminder back. I love that because over time, come on, it's just going to wear somebody down. They're like, oh, that's right. I mean, they're going to see it instantly the second they send something. I don't see any way you can do that.
Mike, I just sent you something that AI replied with. Again, I take that with a grain of salt sometimes, but I just put it in a message to you and Naomi. So I'm not sure
Oh.
how accurate it is. That's for driving, right? Because we
Yeah.
know that there is an auto reply for when you're in driving mode. So
Right.
I'm not sure how that would work, but
That's a
again,
good point.
just something to look into further.
Like, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's a really good idea too.
I know our support coordinator has
With
that.
Avery's reprint service, the thing that I like about it is how
Sorry.
quickly you can order something
okay.
just a couple days ago.
I
That was
love it.
the link. That was the link, Naomi.
There's the link starting to talk. I love it.
Sorry, just wanted to click on it before the text box went away in the chat.
So
Interesting. Yeah, I
Eve,
wonder.
we'll definitely make sure that you get Mike and Naomi's contact. Mike, Naomi, if that's good for both of you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And to have maybe some follow-up to see if that could possibly assist your brother in
Did it so much. Thank you.
sure.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna leave that open on my phone. I'm gonna play with that later this afternoon.
Great.
Know that, Eve, while I'm sitting in another meeting this afternoon, I'll be messing around with that as I'm sitting in the meeting. So that's awesome. Thank you.
Perfect. Mike, Naomi, I would like to, Eve, again, thank you so much for asking
Yeah,
your
thanks, Eve.
question. Mike, Naomi, I would like to get, I had someone submit a question via email. This is, and I apologize, I'm going to try to sort of consolidate this a bit.
Yeah.
We have someone asking a question for someone who has an auditory processing disorder. Specifically, this person's hearing, I'm going to quote, discombobulates the sound
it.
and
Love it.
words that they are hearing. And this severely slows his processing speed when he hears words. He cannot process words heard, so they make sense at the rate of speed that the words are being spoken. His reading level, oh, I just lost it. His reading level is on a 4th or 5th grade level. His acuity is very good and he hears everything very well. What can be done to assist? I did actually, in the very beginning, drop this message. If you want to reread Mike and Naomi, if that's helpful.
Yeah. So some things I could think, well, again, here's my move. Naomi, do you want to start? I'm going to say go for it. And then I'm going to keep talking anyway. I'm hanging and waiting. All right. She might be looking something up. That's fine. When I think about this, although the individual is hearing things well, are there other things in the environment that are distractible, that are impacting the ability to pull that information out? And so what we have seen work in the past for people with auditory processing needs is a personalized listening system, so that it's kind of filtering everything else out and allowing them to only focus on the source of the conversation. That has been something to help. The other thing, and this might be a little tricky, but maybe not. I mean, I know that the message said that this individual is reading on the 4th or 5th grade level. The other thing we can start to look at is, does the individual have some technology in their environment already? Do they have something? Do they have a device with them? In our accessibility features of our devices now, whether you have an iPhone or an Android phone, you have something called live captions, where as people are speaking, the captions will show up just like they do in Zoom. If you were to turn the captions on right now, they would show up and give you that text-based support. On your phones, you can turn on live caption, and as it picks up sound, captions will show up on your screen just for you. And I wonder if maybe that's something that could help this individual. Again, be able to parse out what's important in the environment, and focus on the task. Now, again, fourth, fifth grade reading level, I'm not sure how that captioning would work. It could possibly be a good support. I think that might be an option. Naomi, got anything else besides those two couple things?
No, I was thinking the same thing, the
Yeah.
FM system or captioning.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I know a lot of times people will use text to speech to provide support for auditory processing. Again, this idea is we're trying to give the information using two senses, visually, auditorily, simultaneously, in order to kind of synchronize that and give that level of support. Those might be some options for that person to try.
Yeah, and there's some options. There's some apps for the iPhone and Android phone that work as an FM system that may be helpful too.
That might be really good. So to turn your device actually into a listening system where it starts to focus, again, the sound that is brought into this person's ears is a little more focused. I love that idea too.
And some of those apps are free, so you could just try them. So
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
There's some ideas, something to try. I think if we could leave everybody with something in our conversation, or hopefully you're picking this up as we're starting to talk. Sometimes it's about trying things. Everybody's needs are going to be slightly different. There's not going to be a cookbook answer. I wish there was, right? Naomi and I, we'd be just kicking
Yeah.
back with our feet up, be like, oh, go to page 15 and this is the answer for somebody. No, I think it's a lot of questions, some trial, some
Yeah.
evaluation to see if it works, and then making some decisions from that.
It's a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
See what
Yeah, I
works
think
for
so.
the person.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. So I know that today we were scheduled just to go to 12:30 since it was an open mic and not a full presentation. I think we got some wonderful participation, great questions coming in. Prior to us saying goodbye, I do want to share one of the CLEP team members reached out and received some additional information in regards to the process of using someone's budget to potentially pay for the app. I think that was Peg that was speaking about the virtual schedule planner app. The suggestion that's coming in is, first, it would need to be in the person's ISP that the person would benefit from this technology to enhance their independence, either for work, community, or home, or for all of these settings. They also may need to do an assistive technology assessment. Not necessarily, but that might be a consideration. And dependent upon the outcome of the assessment, the budget may pay for the device and the app. So the first place to start is with your support coordinator. So Mary, thank you for that information. Greatly appreciate that.
Yeah, Mary, that's awesome. And I think it's interesting. And I think, in the example that Peg gave us, I think this is a really interesting conversation for the family, the individual, and the support coordinator to have, because I see that answer and I understand the idea of possibly getting an assessment. But at the same point, if somebody's using something for 3 weeks and demonstrates kind of a success with a $14, $15 item,
Sure.
should we pay for an assessment that's hundreds and hundreds of dollars?
Exactly. I think if the
It's-
device is needed, there may
Yeah,
be
it's interesting.
that
Yeah.
extra component, but absolutely go through the support coordinator. They
Yeah, for
should
sure.
know best at that point. Mike, do you have the QR code for the post eval?
Sure do. Hold on one second. Let me find it. I went back to my fancy share on my iPad, so give me 1 second.
Sure.
Back to where I was. This one or this one? This one.
It's going to be that one.
That one. There you go.
Good. There it is. So on this screen, you're going to see the QR code for a super short post evaluation. If you would be so kind to snap a picture of that You will also receive this possibly in our follow-up email. I'm going to try to attach that link. Again, it takes about 20 seconds. It's information that you provide us that allows us to better serve the community moving forward. So please, if you would take the time, we would greatly appreciate. And then, Mike, is there another contact screen also?
This
There
contact
we
screen
go.
for all of you.
Again, here is another QR code for the Community Living Education Project. If you're interested in receiving any of our newsletters, special announcements that would share information sessions such as the one today with Mike and Naomi, please feel free to take a quick screenshot of that QR code. It's really simple, just name, email, and you can be signed up for any of our future newsletters. Also on that screen, you're going to see the Community Living Education Project CLEP's team contacts. You can
great.
feel free, that's okay. Feel free to reach out via phone or email if there's any information that or resources that we can provide to you as you are exploring community living options or just have general questions. We're more than happy to assist. And then Mike, one more time, can you just show yours and Naomi's?
Yes, that's what I was doing when I
Okay.
clicked off the screen.
Great.
Sorry, I was trying to get there. There you go.
Perfect. And here's Mike and Naomi. So if you have questions specific to assistive technology, any of the resources that they provided you today, want to learn more about the Lending Center, by all means, reach out to them directly. They are the experts in the field, and we greatly appreciate their time and commitment to these topics and always giving their time to share information with the families that CLEP comes in contact with and serves. So Mike, Naomi, as always, thank you so much from the whole CLEP team. We greatly appreciate it. It's always fun getting together with you guys virtually, and hopefully we'll schedule something again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks very much. Appreciate it. Everybody, thanks for participating. It was great. Great conversation.
Bye, everyone. Be well. Thank you for joining.
Bye-bye.